The following audio may contain the personal testimonials of some Optavia coaches or clients of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the Optavia team.
All right, welcome everybody. We are so happy that you've joined us tonight on the weekly Habits of Health webinar and podcast. These webinars are so much fun because we really get to delve in to the habits of health topics. And I love it that everybody who is joining us, there's so many different people. There's potential clients who maybe are just checking out Optavia and saying, what are they all about? Or what is this health program that I've been hearing so much about? Or it could be current clients on the Optavia program. And if that's you, congratulations for really taking the time to take your health into your own hands and to take personal responsibility for that. So we congratulate you. Also, health coaches join us, or Optavia coaches, who have that desire to pay it forward and to link arms with somebody else and to be on that journey and be that accountability, be that buddy. And we also have health professionals who join this call, who doctors, chiropractors, nutritionists, all kinds of health professionals who are really on this mission to help get America healthy, one healthy habit at a time. So whoever that you are joining us, we welcome you. Also, you may hear some things that pertain to different phases of your journey on the Optavia program. So you might, as I mentioned earlier, you might be in a weight loss phase, or you might be transitioning or in our optimization phase, AKA maintenance, but we don't maintain here at Optavia. We want to get better. So also joining me, I have a certified Optavia coach, David Bush. David, give a shout out to everybody.
Hey, welcome everybody. I'm glad you're here today. You're in for a real treat today. Amber's got a great presentation lined up to really help you to accelerate your results. So look forward for the next 30 minutes.
Awesome. Thanks, David. And I'm seeing everyone's chiming in the chat of where they're from. I see Atlanta. I see Los Angeles, Dallas, Texas, Florida, Oregon. There's all kinds, just all across the country. And it just really makes me excited because of the diversity and just really everybody wanting to band together and be a community together. So let's see, let's dive right in. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you. All right, let's get going. So full integration is our topic for tonight. And I want to start off with the definition of integrity, which is a root word of integration. We say that a lot in Optavia. We say that we want to be fully integrated. And so if you look at that root word, integrity, the first definition is the state of being whole, entire, or undiminished. The second, adherence to moral and ethical principles, soundness of moral character, or honesty. Or the third, a sound, unimpaired condition. So I want to talk a little bit about each of these. So the first, the state of being whole, entire, or undiminished. I think that a lot of times people will think of, an integer, which is a whole number. It's a whole piece to a puzzle. And sometimes in this journey, we start thinking about that we want to be perfect. We want to be perfect at our plan so we can reach our goal weight and we can just maintain forever without any trouble, right? Well, just so you know, you're on the wrong planet if that's your goals. I don't know anybody, who's getting through life just totally perfect these days, right? And I like that definition of integrity being the state of being whole. And I think in the older days, that really was more of the definition of integrity was wholeness, and or even the definition of the word perfect. If you look at old texts like the Bible or just old poetry or things like that, the be therefore perfect type of a thought. And people go, well, how can I be perfect? Or it's too much, so I'm just going to give up. If I can't be perfect, I'm going to do nothing, the all or nothing mentality. And the interesting thing is really more around the time of the Industrial Revolution, perfection started meaning something new. It started meaning without flaw. Because if you had a factory and you had workers in there and they were all, putting out polka dot shirts, for example, they probably wouldn't have had the shirt back then, but they're all putting out these polka dot shirts. And, when we go to the store, we have some expectations that something is going to be as it should be. It's going to be without flaw. That if you get a size 12, it's going to be a size 12 here and it's going to be a size 12 there of shoes or whatever. Or that, your sleeves are going to be the same length on both sides. And that it's not, the seams aren't going to be like going all crooked all over the place. And so that's become the definition of perfect, is without flaw. And, nowadays, really, you yourself cannot be without flaw. You can't. You're not a mass-produced shirt from China. And even then, if you get a shirt and it has a flaw, usually take it back. Like, we're so picky. Back in the old days, you're probably like just happy that you had a shirt, let alone if the seam was off a little bit, you want it to be different. So that definition of being whole, entire, or undiminished. When I think about that, how that applies to our health program, that or not just our health, but our life. I like to think of just all the different areas of health, whether that's your healthy mind, your healthy body, maybe it's spiritually, maybe it's financially in your life, and where are you not whole? So I want to throw it to David a little bit and see if he has any thoughts to add in right now.
Yeah, thanks, Amber. I think that's a great analogy, and just in terms of thinking about ourselves as perfect, and we're trying to get into this mindset that we have to be perfect to get healthier. And in my journey over the last 10 years, I have learned that it is so much more about a daily process. It is not about perfection. It's reasonable progress over a measurable period of time, and not getting too caught up with one choice or one day or one weekend or even 1 week of results, because it's more about the mindset. Am I learning things? Because you're gonna lose some things on this journey. We have a very effective program for that, but you're gonna learn so much more. And if you measure more of your learning and your growing and your strengthening of your resolve, you're going to be a whole lot more likely to have lifelong transformation than somebody that's trying to be perfect on a particular meal plan.
I love that, David. Such a good addition. So going back to our definition screen, so the second one was adherence to moral and ethical principles, soundness of moral character, or honesty. And I'm just going to use that word, that last word, honesty. And if you think in terms of honesty with your health program, what types of thoughts come to your mind? Is it that you are just honest with your coach? You're holding back some information that may or may not have happened. I like to think with honesty, are you being honest with yourself? Are you allowing yourself to really be true to what you really want in life? A lot of times we hold ourselves back and we are afraid to dream because we're not sure that we can get it. So we might just say, maybe your coach had talked to you when you were first starting, or even recently. What do you want to create? Why are you here? What do you want to see happen with your health and with your life? And we might give that like half answer. It's the like, well, I want to look better and feel better. And that's great. You may want to look better and feel better. There's nothing wrong with that. but you're afraid to say the things like, I really want to live longer. I really want to be medication free. I really want to be able to do that hike that I've been looking at, and that my grandkids go on and I stay down at the bottom of the mountain. But you're afraid to see that. You're afraid to say it out loud because you don't want to let yourself down. And also being honest with what is best for you. You know, a lot of times we go, well, this was me. Okay, I'm going to tell you me. When I started my health journey 14 years ago, I said, I think I want to lose 15 pounds and I want to get my cholesterol down a couple points. When really, by the end of my journey, I had lost 35 pounds and dropped my cholesterol. And it's one of those things where sometimes you're afraid to dream, you're afraid to be honest because you're not sure you can get it. So that's that second one. The third, let me share one more time here. A sound, unimpaired condition. Now, this one's interesting to me because when you think of integrity or whole or an integer or integrated, I don't always think of this, but an unimpaired condition. I love that because basically you can think, what else can I do to make my circumstances the best for me? You know, what else can I work on? Where can I get better? Where can I improve? Because if your body is sound and unimpaired, how much more energy do you have? How much more can you accomplish in your work, in your family, in your community? So those are just some thoughts on the word integrity. It's interesting how many different aspects that come out of a single word. David, anything else to add there?
Yeah, I think a good question to have people throw their answer in the chat is when it comes down to, you know, having integrity in your life or in your health journey right now. Do you feel that you have room for improvement in being more integrous with your healthy lifestyle journey and not necessarily being responsible to be having integrity with your coach, but really with having integrity about yourself? And I love this quote that says, what it is that we want, it lurks in the shadows of what we really value. And sometimes when we just are reminded of this value called integrity, right? Sometimes we just need to be reminded from another person to say, yes, I want to be a person of high integrity. I want to value the things that are important to me. And those values are being true to myself, being true to my dreams, and being true to the things that I've been called to do, rather than this idea of trying to focus on the food or focus on these nutrition choices that I have to make to lose this weight or to be healthier. Going back to your values is so much more powerful. It's going to drive you so much farther than this idea of trying to control macronutrients with a healthy nutrition plan, because that's kind of a means to an end. And so if you don't focus on the end, you won't have the power to go through some of the challenges that you have to go through.
I love that, David. And when you were talking, it made me think of just how we can either be above the line or below the line. Above the line is where you're empowered, where you're taking full responsibility for your choices, whereas below the line is where you are, you know, playing the victim or things are happening to you. And I think that when you're in full integrity with yourself, then you're empowered, that you're taking that full responsibility for the choices that you're making, instead of just being, you know, pushed here and there by any birthday party or any, you know, family reunion or going out to eat. Or it's almost like when you're in full integrity with yourself, none of those things even much matter or push you or sway you. Okay, so earlier, you know, I alluded to this a little bit, but this is our Trilogy Wheel, is what we call it, the Trilogy of Optimal Health. And a lot of times, many people who join Optavia, they're probably most focused on their healthy body. So this is the top. And I think it's very interesting. If you think of a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is where you're most in line, where you have the most integrity in these areas, and 1 is where you're most out of integrity. And as you get higher and higher, you're adding more things. So that's that point that David made, that where can we look for improvement? Is there room in our life? So sometimes people come into a program and they go, okay, I get to my goal weight and I'm done. And I think it's so interesting that if you look at the Trilogy Wheel, healthy weight is at number 2, along with physical activity. And then it's, making sure that long-term healthy eating. Are you adding relaxation? How's your sleep looking? Is your environment safe and healthy at work and at home? There's so many more factors to consider that you can add on to that wheel. And as you get closer to the center, you're really becoming more integrous, more integrated. So if you look at the healthy mind portion of the Trilogy Wheel, do you have time for hobbies and fun? That's at the number 2 level, or fulfillment. The number 4 level is, do you have time for community involvement? Are you engaged at work? Does going to work make you go, oh my goodness, this is so amazing? Or are you going, oh, it's Monday? Or spiritual time, strong relationships. So they really just build on each other. And then healthy finances. I thought this one was the most interesting to me. On the outer level, there's money management, community contributions. There's a lot of focus, I would say, especially in our country right now, on money management. It's like, cut up all your credit cards and just use cash so that you never get into debt, and sell your furniture and sit on the floor and so you can pay everything off, which is, maybe some people need that, honestly. And that's probably why it's number 2. That's why it's on the outer levels, because it's like you got to get that first before you can get to the freedom and abundance and resources to create memories. You need that money management first. So it's not a bad thing, but I find it's almost alarming to me that is the biggest focus in our country, is just on the money management. It's like, if we can really move to that next level, continue to improve in all these areas, strive for the 10, it'll never happen. You're never going to have a 10 in all these areas. So, progress, not perfection. But I just really like this wheel. Have you seen this new one yet, David?
Yeah, I do really like how they kind of break it down and put some words right inside of the kind of progression or the growth. And one of the things I found in this journey is that the biggest awakening for me, Amber, was that I came to the conclusion that I really didn't know what I didn't know. And when I came into this program, I remember telling my coach, when he asked me what I wanted to do, and I said, I know what I need to do. I just need to do it. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. And he did a nice kind of reversal on me, as he said, David, I'm confident that if you knew what to do, and if you knew why to do it, and you knew who to partner with to do it, I'm confident you would already be doing it. And so for those of you that are watching today, it's, it may be a little humbling to say, I really don't know. I don't know everything about health, and I don't know how everything affects everything, but I don't know what I don't know. So why I'm going to continue to get integrated or get on these calls and really plug into my coach and the Habits of Health system and the full power of this program is because I want to learn. And another part is that, the person that who holds the definition of what a 10 is, they control the conversation. And I don't know about you, Amber, but in my conversations with coaching clients and even myself, that definition of a number 10 changes over time. What you thought was a 10 14 years ago has completely changed in terms of what's possible for abundance. I know that just because I know your story, Amber, and the same thing goes for me. So always raising your thought process of what could be and what can be with this. I remember Henry David Thoreau said, have you built your castles in the sky? Good, that's where they should be. Now build the foundations underneath them. So as you're building these foundations with healthy habits, are you continuing to build new castles in the sky that you're constantly pursuing? Because you're either going to a 10 or you're going to a 1. There is no such thing as maintenance in this process. You may be able to maintain a healthy weight, but you're either getting healthier or you're getting unhealthier in one of these categories if you're not in tension moving towards something that you want to create in your life.
I love that, David. And someone in the chat said, why aren't there any words in the 8 to 10 levels? And I think that you just explained that so well, is that it's different for everyone. And also, sometimes when we get to one level, we see, oh my goodness, I didn't even know there was another level that was above that. So it's definitely a process. Well, I see that Jared joined us, and I would love, Jared, for you to share with us a little bit about the analogy of the tree and the state.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Sorry, I'm a little late. We were playing the #1 team in the state in sand volleyball, and narrow loss. So, but have you ever seen a tree that looked like this? That grew in a wind-blown area, and do you realize how different this tree's life would be? Trees that grow like this actually don't have a very long lifespan, because the wind blows them sideways, and if you simply stake them down, and when they're little, it just takes a small piece of twine to actually anchor a small tree. But once it's big like this, there's no way to pull it back. And then if there's a strong storm, definitely tornadoes or hurricane type winds or anything like that, but even a strong storm can break the limbs off, pull it down, knock it over. And so the lifespan isn't nearly as long as it would be if it was simply anchored down and grew upward rather than sideward. Sideways, sideward. I don't think that's a word, actually, but we make all kinds of words in Optavia. So sideward is a new word. So what are our anchors? And do you have your anchors set? So our 4 anchors are the habits of health, our community, your coach, and our fuelings. So let's just quickly talk about each one of those. Amber, you want to take a pick and start with one?
Absolutely. So one of my favorites is the Optavia community. I mean, right now, congratulations that you are on this call live or listening to a playback in podcast or YouTube or however you're doing it, because you are plugging into a community. You are strengthening that portion. That's part of your anchor. That is connecting you with other people, especially if you're on live. I really encourage you, if you can, to hop on live whenever you can. You know, see the chats, ask some questions, give some feedback, or share the webinars with friends or with your coach. Talk about it. Also, community events are so big. And if you don't have a community event in your area, maybe there isn't a ton of coaches or clients right in your city. What if you hold a community event? What if you ask your coach, or if you are a coach, ask your business coach, say, how can I hold an event? How can I be part of the anchors that not only helps myself, but helps others to be able to be strengthened?
Yeah, I'll jump in and just talk about the benefits of having a coach. You know, I think that the coach and the community kind of balance themselves out, because the coach knows you on a personal level, where the community doesn't necessarily know you, and they don't necessarily have any bias or, you know, previous experience with you. So sometimes just hearing the same thing you heard from your coach from the community, some of you are hearing it tonight on the Habits of Health webinar, you're like, I remember my coach talking about that, but I didn't necessarily get it. I didn't see the importance, and now you get a chance to see the importance. So I think that it's almost kind of like where they cross-pollinate each other. And, you know, I can just maybe share that, you know, the winds of life are still blowing. And so, you know, what I found is that I found my life kind of blow me away and become untethered from one of those anchors, just because life just was stormy. So if you've gotten to a place in your life where you've become unanchored, where you have just maybe kind of been flopping in the wind, it's now a good time to just plug back in and anchor down again. And that's just kind of the way life is. Don't get too judgmental on yourself. Just anchor down and focus on each one of those aspects and getting plugged back in so you can become a fully integrated client.
That's awesome. I'll quickly go fuelings. Fuelings are a no-brainer, right? 9 years ago, for the previous decade before Amber and I became coaches 9 years ago. And the previous decade to that, I struggled gaining and losing the same 20 pounds over and over and over. And I really needed to get another 30 off. So I finally found Optavia and so blessed with my life. And so when you learn something, Albert Einstein said this about intelligence. The true measure of intelligence is one's ability to change, right? So how intelligent are we? Ask yourself, like, how intelligent am I acting? Am I behaving? Am I willing to change? Am I willing to look at things a little bit differently? After a decade of struggle, I looked at these fuelings and I started using them, and I lost my last 30 pounds much faster than I lost my first 20. And now I've been using them as part of my healthy lifestyle for the last 9 years, and magically they fit into this new lifestyle where I created routines, which created habits, which created a lifestyle. And these fuelings are still part of my lifestyle. And as a result, I've been able to maintain 50 pounds of weight loss. Now, I look at those fuelings as a habit of health because they're a tool along with sleep and with community and all these things. You know, going back to that Trilogy Wheel, I think that one of the reasons that the 8 through 10 don't have any words in there, if you compare that Trilogy Wheel to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, those outer rings are the basic human needs, right? When you really step up and reach the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the greatest needs at the top are to help other people and benefit mankind. And the easiest way, and I know that David's gonna spend the next half hour after this talking about what it looks like to join us as a health coach. But that is the easiest way to keep all 4 of these anchored in your lives. And that's when the inner circles of that trilogy truly become whole and complete. And you get to design what you want life to really look like.
That's great, Jared. And, you know, I'll take the last one, the habits of health system. And, you know, I just got back from doing an orientation day of my daughter. She's a freshman going into a freshman year of college. And, you know, the books are $500 a semester for going to 4-year school. And the tuition's like $20,000 a year. And, you know, what's amazing is that each and every one of our clients gets the book, The Habits of Health, and the workbook for about $36. But oftentimes they don't necessarily get into it and really apply the principles. And so they continue to work off of willpower and the community maybe and the coach and the fuelings, and they never really get a chance to develop the skill power that comes from learned education. And so we like to use the term that when you learn more, you become more. And there's lots of different ways to learn, not just the book and the workbook, but those are great ways to grasp information. But if you learn more, you become more. And when you become more, you achieve more. And that's where you get into the 7, 8, 9, and 10s, is when you've actually had a chance to grow personally, grow from an education standpoint so that you can battle life's tough wins when you're back and forth, and you can battle them with skill power and not just willpower. So great point.
I love that. Well, we are about at the end of our Habits of Health call tonight, and I've just had so much fun talking about being fully integrated and what integrity really means. And Jared, any last words to wrap us up?
I missed the first few minutes, so I'm not sure if I'll repeat anything, but I recently listened to a talk by a a mental health counselor about integrity. And she said that as she works with people, she's found that it's really interesting that the things that cause the most damage in life are not the things that people don't know. They're the things that people do know in their heart of hearts, but they pretend in some way not to know. So ask yourself, that's where the lack of integrity comes in. Where inside of us, in the heart of hearts, what we really, really want in life, what we really want with our health, is one thing, and we're making excuses or justifying our behaviors or our thoughts or something in there, and that incongruity there is integrity. Now, one last thing, I read a really great book about a year ago called How Will You Measure Your Life? And it's by a Harvard Business School professor. And he made an amazing statement in this book. He said, it's easier to live 100% integrity than it is to live 98%. Because you will spend so much energy justifying and covering up the lies that you tell yourself with that 2% incongruity in your life. So none of us are perfect, but it's about just working a little bit each day more on hammering those 4 anchors in a little bit deeper, a little bit tighter, and doing it with other people so that we have that accountability and the support and strength of other people with us.
Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. We've had a great call, and join us next week at the same time, Wednesday night, 8:30 Eastern Time, and we will see you soon.
This audio may have contained the personal testimonials of some Optavia coaches or clients of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the Optavia team.